Pleasant good morning. Good morning, one and all. Welcome to the midweek's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption, Incompetence. Today, Wednesday, the 29th day of October in the year of our Lord 2025. Welcome. Hope you had a restful night. Hope you're looking forward to a productive day. Welcome. As you know, we tell you when you come on, share the life. Don't be selfish. Today, we have so much to tell you. I have so much to tell you today. Share the life. You don't want to be selfish on this day. You have so much happening in Guyana, so much happening, and we're going to bring it to you. So share the life, and sit back, take your vantage point, take your favorite seat, and we are going to be with you. Today, as I've said, is the 29th day of October in the year of our Lord 2029. Another great day that the Lord has made. It's so good to be in the land of the living, and we should give praise and thanks to being in the land of the living. And it's a privilege to be in the land of the living. It's a privilege, not a great day that the Lord has made. We should rejoice and be glad in it, and give praise and thanks to the Almighty for allowing us to be in the land of the living, and for allowing us to be here on this program to bring you credible, valuable information. So share. Let people know that we are on. By now, all the regulars know. What more and more people joining in now. How the word is spreading that if you want credible, valuable information, come to Speaking Out. 11 o'clock Monday, 11 o'clock on Wednesday, and 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Fridays. Come if you want credible, valuable information. Now, the thing is, today I'm going to be batting alone. It's a single wicket match today. I'll be batting alone. My colleague, CC, has a very important engagement, and he is unable to be here this morning. So I am going to be alone. But, by now I think you will all admit that I am capable of batting alone. So I'll bat. I don't know how long I'll bat for, but I'm going to bat. I'm going to bring you credible, valuable information. The program was scheduled at 8 this morning. The gates were open at 8, and students rushed in. Well, this morning I had massive technical issues in and out. And, as I've explained before, once you have to go in and out, then all the students are struck out. But I know that at 8 o'clock, we had lots and lots of students. Many students came in at 8 o'clock this morning. Many came in. And we still have this issue with Facebook, where the email, well, it come at something with a number behind. Look, you see it there? There's not the first one, but all the YouTube, that is what we find. All the YouTube. Facebook is okay. The regular thing, you see the names appearing in the regular fashion. So what we're going to do again this morning, we're not going to bother with the roll call. We have a lot to tell you, but I want to recognize all those who came in early, and we have lots to tell you. That's morning. Good. Somebody said about the theme song for the Scrubby. Yeah, everybody asking me the name of the song is Garisol, G-A-R. I think it's Garisol. People said they can't find it, but I found it on YouTube a few days ago. Very nice, very catchy. Garisol. That's the name of that theme song. And as I've said, CC is not here with us this morning, and so I'm gonna move into it almost immediately. We're gonna make the announcements, and then we have some real issues to go into. So we told you on the last program of the death of retired Inspector Colbert Halley. Well, he's going to be buried on the 9th. We're going to bring you more details later, but he's going to be buried on the 9th of next month. Then we told you too of the death of the wife of the late Commissioner Henry Fraser, or she is Flora Fraser. She's going to be buried tomorrow. She died on the 24th. She's going to be buried tomorrow, October the 30th. There's a viewing and selected tributes from 10 to 11, service from 11 to 12:30, and that is at the I think it's, I'm not sure which church it is, but tomorrow is that funeral. Then what we have? Well, we had another fatal accident since we last spoke. I think it is Monday. They're reporting a motorcyclist died on Sheriff Street, came into contact with a car. They claim that he failed to observe the stop of the red light. Car was turning, he rode into the car, and he died. Every week, that is what we have. And today is 576 days since Sergeant Alex Vaughn was shot and killed. 576 days. And this force, this administration, this government that claims to be transparent, they're not telling the family, they're not telling the members of the force, they're not telling anyone anything more. Just that he was shot and killed by a colleague, and that's it. 576 days. Think about that. 576 days. And then we had the death of this, I call it Mord of the Lance Corporal Marvin Aids. I'm going to talk about it. And of course, we're going to talk about the terrorist activity as well on Sunday. Now, for the more pleasant announcements, let me tell you, birthday greetings are going out today to the daughter of a student, Ivor. Ivor's daughter is celebrating her birthday today. Today, celebrating too is a former member, Menard Wilson. His number was 13323. Today, he's celebrating his 58th birth anniversary. And then we have belated birthday greetings to a former instructor at the training school when I was there in 1974, Patrick Baxter, 6777. Patrick Baxter, I learned yesterday that he recently celebrated his 87th birthday, 87. Keep on batting, Patrick. Patrick was there at the school. I think Patrick, if my memory serves me correct, he was also one of the stalwarts in the police association. Patrick Baxter. I think I remember him being a very prominent member of that organization. And also today, we had recent birthday to retired Deputy Soup or Soup, whatever, it was a mix-up. Alison Moore. Alison celebrated a birthday recently, and also celebrated a birthday recently was a student. Her husband is a student, and then she joined later, referring to Carol Weeks, the wife of Reggie, my friend Reginald Weeks, former Corporal 9707 Weeks. His wife celebrated recently. And in terms of upcoming birthdays, we have a student, Marvin Harper. He's celebrating shortly. And a member, but I'm not sure if he's still a member, Kato. Anashia Kato, she used to be there at the police officers' mess. She worked there at the police officers' mess. She is celebrating her birthday soon. So I want to send out greetings to all those who are celebrating today, who celebrated recently, and who are celebrating in the near future. Hope you live to see many, many, many more birthdays. And a special shout out to retired Inspector Theophilus Makanju, who is celebrating his 48th wedding anniversary. 48. Mark, keep going. Keep you and your wife, of course. Keep going. Mark was 9663. Makanju, he joined in the batch after me. He was course 74. He was course 75. So Mark is celebrating his 48th wedding anniversary. So those are the anniversaries we got to tell you about and birthday. And let me tell you some well, this is trivia. You know, today, October the 29th, 2012, that was when Hurricane Sandy hit the shores of New Jersey, right? It formed, they say it made landfall on the 29th. It formed on the 24th of October 2012. And then it made landfall on the 29th of October 2012, 13 years ago. Nah? And then I learned today too, browsing, that today, October the 29th, 1969, they said the first electronic message was sent. 1969, the 29th of October, the first electronic. Now we get email, we get WhatsApp, we get all type of electronic thing. But they said the first one was sent on the 29th of October, 1969. Right? 1969. Yeah, Mark, yes, Leslie Mark from TSU. Leslie Mark, say Mark, you're talking about 9663 Theophilus Makanju celebrating his wedding anniversary. So that's a little trivia for you there. And to remind you too, we're still into Cancer Awareness Month. Some say breast cancer awareness. It's cancer awareness generally coming to an end in a few days' time. And again, we encourage you to make sure you go and you get checked. Men, women, everybody must get checked. Go and get your check, right? And somebody's telling me, I thought as much that Mrs. Flora Fraser funeral will be at Christ Church on Waterloo Street tomorrow, Christ Church. I gave you the timings before, but it is Christ Church on Waterloo Street. The other issues, let me tell you, we know Hurricane Melissa made landfall in Jamaica yesterday as a Category 5 hurricane. This is sustained wind of 185 miles per hour or something like that. Massive destruction. The few videos that we're seeing, massive destruction. Our thoughts and prayers are with those folks in Jamaica. Not only the Jamaicans, but all the tourists, because we are hundreds of tourists were stranded because the airports are closed. The place is devastated. The Prime Minister, I think, declared a nationwide national emergency, and I suspect they're waiting now for things to calm down to assess the damage. And they did report, I think, 2 persons yesterday when they reported 2 lives were lost. But when you see the storm, oh my Lord, it's a massive storm. They're saying it's the most powerful storm to ever hit Jamaica. We talk about Gilbert back in '88, which up to yesterday I think was the worst. But they say this Melissa, this girl Melissa, this bad woman Melissa is far worse than Gilbert. So thoughts and prayers. Yesterday I was able to communicate with friends in Jamaica. I tried again this morning and I was unsuccessful. So I suspect by now power lines are down, telephone cables and lines are all down, and those people there are counting their losses. Yeah. And they say, somebody called me, it was when, I think a few days ago, that asked me if I know why we don't get hurricane in Guyana. It wasn't one of those tricks. Paul, you know why you don't get the hurricane in Guyana? I said, why? He said, because we already get a permanent hurricane called PPP. A man told me that, I'm not kidding. Man said we get a permanent destruction hurricane destroying Guyana named PPP. And I had to laugh it off and so on. So yeah, so we had that hurricane there. And of course it has left Jamaica, head to Cuba, and on its path there. So we're waiting to hear word. I know lots of countries will have their emergency services standing by. The Caribbean Emergency Agency, CDEMA, is going to be there to respond. And again, let's hope and pray that more lives are not lost, and that the entire world, the Caribbean and the world, come to the rescue of Jamaica as they try to recover from this devastating storm. This girl, this bad woman, Melissa, right? Moving on, we got cricket going on. I know Sean and I are watching the cricket. Let me see what happened. Cricket going on, and for those cricket fans, let's see. West Indies won the first T20. The second one is on the way, and let me see what will happen with that. Now, I have to ask some questions here, before I move into the main thing. Ask some questions. You were told some weeks ago, perhaps even months, I think it's over a month now, about this robbery on Church Street, where it is alleged that policemen in uniform robbed a Chinese Chinese-looking man who had won some money in the casino, and he came out, and they said the police descended on him, and he offered them, let's say he offered them some $1.5 million. I don't know why he would offer them money if he is nothing illegal, but they decided they took $5 million from him. That is the allegation. And the police told us that some ranks were under close arrest and this matter was being investigated by the Office of Professional Responsibility, that overburdened Office of Professional Responsibility. And I learned about a week or so ago, some days ago, almost 3 weeks now, that a recommendation was made for inspector, I think he named Ferdinand or Ferdinand, and a Sergeant Jones to be charged with robbery. My understanding that instructions were given, recommendation was made for those two ranks to be charged. And up to now, I'm advised, at least we haven't seen anything. Up to now, we haven't seen anything about that matter. They came out, and they're the ones who reported on this robbery. They reported on the robbery, and they get silent. They told us then that OPR would be investigating. That is what they said. The ranks were under close arrest, and OPR would be. That was even before elections, if I remember well. Even before, it was before the 1st of September, right? And we ain't hearing nothing, right? No, Commissioner, I understand that but we have not seen. I don't know. I can't say definitively that they have not been charged, but I have not seen any media release. I have not seen anything from the police or elsewhere to tell us that these persons were charged. Let me say this. That is part of the worrying thing. People commit themselves. They're going to commit themselves. They must face the music, and you must let the public know. Let the public know this is what you're facing, right? But to withhold information, if it is that the information is being withheld, it doesn't do you well. You got to face up. You have rogue elements among you. And when they're identified, you must let people know. Let people know. Because when you fail to do that, then people believe that there's a massive cover-up and collusion and you two are involved. Let them know, right? I don't think anybody, the senior people sent out a man and said, I'm going to rob this body, I'm going to rob the body. They go out and they commit themselves. And once they commit themselves, appropriate action must be taken. And you must tell people what action is taken against them. That will reassure the public that action is taken and perhaps deter others who are like-minded. So that is what I understand. And then as I'm talking about that, I understand too that recently, 3 ranks from an East Coast police station, right, were arrested, placed under close arrest, because it is alleged that they took $300,000 from someone to return a firearm. It would appear, I think, that the firearm, I don't know what the circumstances that the firearm came into their possession, if it is, that is an illegal firearm found, but the information is, the allegation is that they took $300,000 and they are under close arrest. You're hearing nothing from them. What is wrong with telling the people that once these ranks, and let me say again, not all the ranks, you get many ranks who are honest and hardworking, right? But once the dishonest ones realize that nothing is happening and it's a cover-up, they will continue. They will continue. So these things are happening, and this, again, they talk about transparency, but they're not telling you these things. They're not telling you. They told us to, a little while ago, of this big sex scandal in the training institution. Big. And then they said an inspector or officer and sergeants were placed under close or transferred or something of the nature. We're not hearing anything further with that investigation. And what I learned is that many of the trainees gave statements supporting this allegation of sexual misconduct on the part of some of the instructors there. Right? Statement were given, OPR investigating. I understand that they were made to sign other statements to exonerate certain people because it is alleged that one of the main culprits is closely aligned to a senior police officer. So they're trying to cover up the thing. They're trying to cover nasty, stinking scandal, right? Sexual past, sexual other thing going on at the place. And when talk about sex, it's not only heterosexual sex, homosexual arrangement as well. That is the allegation. Instructor in room drinking fancy liquor with trainees and all them type of thing. Many of us passed through. I passed through training school 6 straight months from the 1st of May 1974 to the last day in August, 34th of August 1974, 6 straight months. And when you reflect on how strict the discipline was, right? And to hear what is going on here, when we were there in training school, you couldn't even walk around the compound. You have to be marching briskly or jogging. Strict discipline. But now, and as I've said before, that life is of such, nature is of such that once men and women, they're in the same place, relationships are likely to be pursued. And I say this, in our days, because we had a lot of, we are 250 something of us in training school, 50 something women, 200 something men, many of us. And sometimes you have a suspicion that some instructor or someone, the female trainees, might have something. You have a suspicion. You will never see evidence or find evidence to confirm. It was just a suspicion. But now, openly, they're making an allegation that senior, very, very senior officer pulling up and collecting package. They call them package. That's what they're referring to some of these female trainees. Collect a package, gone, where they make use of the package, return the package early in the morning, and that's it. The discipline is not there because that is the institution where you have to get that foundation, the discipline, foundation. Because many people come from different backgrounds to join the force, and sometimes they are not in that regimented arrangement where they come from. We're coming to the training school now, right? First of all, one of the things you have a shiny head if he's a male. I remember joining the training school. I think it was a Friday. I went to the barber in the village, cut me hair and so on. I believe that was good enough. No, when I went into the school, you had a man named Mush. Boxing man named Mush was the barber, right? No. They put you there and then he take the that razor and he clean your head, clean the old side there, right? Give you a calabash, right? But if the discipline is not there in the training institution, they call them academy, they call them what they want to call it. If the discipline is not there, and if all of these irregularities are going on there, what you believe they're going to produce? What you think they are going to produce, right? You're producing a set of people who come out there indisciplined. And when they go outside now and they mix with the indisciplined people, it's chaos in the society. So when we talk about a police force to be respected and reformed, if you don't have a proper training institution where you instill discipline and respect and professionalism in these young men and women who join there, what are you thinking happen? Things circulating. I have seen some devastating evidence of what is going on or what is alleged to be going on at the training school, both pictorial and video evidence surfacing, right? And what they're doing, they say OPR can investigate, OPR again, OPR can investigate, and you're not hearing anything more. You're not hearing anything more, right? Yeah, let me just, yeah. So that is what we have there. So these things have got to be looked at. And the new minister, as I said, your honeymoon, I guess the honeymoon over by now with that bombing Sunday night that killed that child. I'm going to go into it in great detail a little later. But let me tell you now, and then, of course, we also learned that they said SOCU, the Special Organized Crime Unit, had launched an investigation into either the division or the command of Regional Division 1, right? Barnima Winey, right? Commander there is Romana, Christianette Romana. And it was said that three senior investigators from SOCU went into that region to commence an investigation involving fraud, $20-something million fraud, they said was being investigated. Reported that they went to the police finance office, that's SOCU, and they seized a whole set of documents there as they pursue this investigation. And then that's it. So we don't know what is the updated position, but it's not unusual because you have a commissioner there who is afraid to face the media and afraid to give updates. And every now and again, they get a corporate propaganda unit to come out with a statement. And every time they write something, almost every time, they write something, mistakes and all kind of thing, because they are not police. Even the commissioner is not no police. He's wearing police uniform, but he has no policing. And I'll tell you why I say that a little while from now. Because I do understand, I just bring evidence to support what I am saying. So yeah, big investigation into Region 1. Fraud involving fraud, which we have been talking about for months. Mr. Conway was on this for months now and months. So last week we understand they run down to the police finance office, seize vouchers and documents and all this type of thing, and we said they're investigating. But apart from that, silence, zip after that, you didn't know anything more. And that is part of the problem. Lack of transparency, lack of accountability is a big part of the problem. Now let me move on to this issue. Let me pull it up. I made some notes about it. I don't want to ad-lib on this one. I'm talking here now about the death of the policeman who was shot and killed by the businessman at Vredenhoek, right? Now, a CCTV image, video has surfaced with the incident. I have it, and I'm going to show it to you. And before I show it, you know, they say viewer discretion advised, because there's some words and expletive, and then that. So the part where the policeman was actually shot and killed is blurred out, but you can see, you can hear what is going on. Here we go. Just about half a minute. Here we go. Yeah, we saw there verbal exchange between the person who's there, the policeman, and the businessman who's there, naked. And let me say this. What I saw there amounted to murder. And why do I say that? I saw a comment from someone who I know is a student from time to time. And he's saying, not so long ago, I saw it on social media. He's saying that perhaps the businessman's action was justified. What did we just see? We saw, let me walk it through to you. We saw a verbal confrontation between the policeman, the man who is there with the backpack and the white t-shirt and the cap, and the businessman who is behind the counter there, half dressed, looked like he's sweeping up something, and so on. There was a verbal, we can hear it, can hear expletives and so on used and so on. We saw that. We were told before that the policeman bought a phone from the same businessman, and apparently the phone malfunctioned either the day before or shortly before he bought this phone. So he went back to the businessman, and they had this confrontation, verbal confrontation that we just saw there, right? I noted, and a student reminded me when he looked at it, I noted the businessman, you know, whatever the businessman said, pick up something now, pick up something now. In other words, that can be said that the businessman was goading the policeman. He had every intention to do him harm. He was goading him. And what did we see? We saw the policeman picked up something they claim is some glue gun or something like that, and threw it at the businessman. And then the businessman reached somewhere, picked up what they claim is a pistol, and shot him in his chest. And you telling me that that is not murder? And I'm asking this question now. I want to know, because this video that I just showed you there surfaced, I understand, only about yesterday. So the question is, did the investigators saw this video at an earlier time? Did the director of public prosecutions, who would have advised that a manslaughter charge be instituted instituted against this businessman, Robert Hussein, I think is his name. They see this video. And if they saw that video, how can they say that that was manslaughter? How can they say it was manslaughter? Right? Now let me say this further. As I've told you people repeatedly, the students will know I have a background as a firearm instructor. Teach people how to use firearm, teach policemen and others when, not only how, when to use it. And in terms of when, the first rule, and it is there in the police SOP, you may fire, you may shoot if you are attacked and you apprehend, serious danger to your person, and you are unable to defend yourself by any other means. Let me repeat that. Because that is what the first rule of engagement. When I train policemen, when I train members of the public who are licensed firearm holder, the first thing, you may shoot or you may fire if you are attacked and you apprehend serious danger to your person and you are unable to defend yourself by any other means. Now, having regards to what I just said, let me look again at what that tape showed. Let me look again at what the tape showed. Let me bring it up. Here we go.
No, you want to. You want to move on the fucking station. I don't put the fucking enemy.
When you listen to the words used by this businessman, pick up something, not pick up something, and see what happen, or see where you're gonna go, or something like that. Clearly, he intended to shoot and kill that man. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Clearly, that is what he intended to do. Because, yes, they had this heated verbal exchange. Yes, the mama picked up something and threw it at him. But at no stage can anyone say that the life of this man was in danger. At no stage can you say that his life was in danger. And therefore, he had no justification for using lethal force against this man. It is disproportionate use of force. A man throws something at you, you pick up a gun and shoot you just and kill him. And then the DPP and them telling people that is manslaughter, perhaps because he named Robert Hussein. I think that is his name. That is what you're going to you want to tell people that is manslaughter. When given what he said, give it action. Give his action. Given what he said, clearly showed that he was building to that. I tell him, I'll pick up something now, see what can happen or something like that. What's to the effect? The video is there. And to be fair to them, to the DPP's chamber, I don't know if they saw that video prior to recommending a charge of manslaughter. But I'm saying this, if they did not see it and it is made available to them now, then the correct course of action would be to rest that manslaughter charge rest indefinitely, in other words, and institute a charge of murder against that man. Let me repeat that because them commander, the crime chief is a liar and he's a COVID liar. I am saying that this, initially it might have been what the businessman told you, right? You might have operated on that. There might not have been any independent witness. So you operated based on what the businessman told you. Because remember they tell me too that they swab yarn for gunpowder residue. I said, why? There was no doubt that he shot. There was no question as to whether this businessman is the one who shot this man or not. But yet still these unprofessional people telling about gunpowder residue tests. I'm saying that if at the time when the charge was instituted, it was based on what the businessman claimed, you did not have this video evidence right? Now that the visual evidence is available, and you can not only see what transpired, but you can hear the exchange. You might be able to get a transcript word for word. And you want to tell me that given what the businessman said and the businessman's action prior to shooting, that he hadn't the intention to kill that man? And again, I say, even if he threw, as we saw, the policeman threw something at him, the businessman's life was not in danger at any time. And to have shot and killed that person is disproportionate use of force. And therefore, that amounts to murder. That is murder. Clear and simple. Clear and simple. That is murder. And I would hope that the family and them will take up this thing. Take up this thing. Because again, let me say this before I move on. Let me say this. In fairness to the DPP and those people, I don't know what they would have operated on at the time when this file went to them. Maybe only the statement from the businessman, a caution statement from the businessman, only a caution statement. And I'm thinking maybe that if it's only a caution statement, then yeah, you might have said, well, you don't have any evidence to support a murder charge. But now that the video with audio has surfaced, you can hear the exchange. You can hear the businessman goading the man to pick up something. You pick up something, pick up something, pick up something, right? And the man picked up something and threw it at the businessman. Yeah, yeah. He picked up something and he threw it. Should not have done that. But to respond by shooting him dead, I am saying that that is a disproportionate use of force. Disproportionate use of force. Right? Let me understand. That is what I'm saying. Disproportionate use of force, because again, in closing, let me tell you, rule 1 of engagement, you may fire if you are attacked and you apprehend serious danger to your person and you are unable to defend yourself by any other means, then you are justified in shooting. And then it has to be proportionate. So, for example, a man come and a man slap you, you can't draw a gun and shoot it. A man come in this case, a man pelt you with some phone, you can't be justified in shooting him dead. The evidence of that video supports murder. And let me say this, because I said it before too. Are they going to investigate to see how that man got a license to use to own and use a firearm? They're going to check to see if proper checks were done, or if he paid someone, which seems to be the going thing. You pay and you get. Are they going to investigate that? Or you just investigate and you charge the manslaughter and put him on bail? He's on bail, you know. He is on bail. Perhaps all you know, he's back in the place walking. He's on bail. And you have cases in the recent past, like Baby Scallo, charged with blasphemous something, remanded. That mother from Linden who lied on the phone about the autopsy, remanded. A nursing mother, they said, remanded. And many cases, men charged with possession of marijuana and so on, remanded. I'm not saying that they should not be remanded, but I'm comparing the seriousness of the offenses and what the outcome was. Remanded. Baby Scallo, remanded. And you want to tell me something is wrong with the system? You want to tell me that something is not wrong with the system? Yeah, we all have firearm, whatever firearm training you had, if any at all. All of these things should be looked into. All of these things should be looked into, because you will see this is not an isolated incident of a man misusing a firearm. It's happening frequently, because I have said that a large percentage of the people, policemen and civilians, even military people walking around with gun or carrying gun, they don't know how to use the firearm. They don't have any proper training. And it's a sad indictment against people in uniform, in particular, all them security people and so on. And I am speaking from a position of knowledge. They don't know the basic. Ask them when you may fire. I invite the minister who is a lawyer and the former magistrate. Do a random thing. Then you drive a walk around, you see policeman with firearm. That's excuse me, sir. When you may fire, when does the rule apply allow you to fire? I'll hear what I can tell you. You go to them security guard with AK, with AR rifle, and them similar type, shotgun and all sort of thing. Ask them, when are you permitted legally to fire? And you're gonna hear what's going on. You're gonna hear. It is a worrying, it is a frightening thing. It is a frightening thing. But let me move on. I can't say now I'm gonna bring in my colleague because again I say my colleague is not with me this morning, so I'm going to be batting alone. I saw some comment that West Indies won the T20 by 14 runs, and therefore they have taken the series. Congratulations to West Indies. Now let me go into this this issue that has dominated the headlines over the past from Sunday night until now. I'm talking about the terrorist attack at the gas station, the Exxon gas station at Regent and King Street there. Now, just in case somebody crawled from under the rock and they know what I'm talking about, let me explain what was reported. Sunday night, very early Sunday evening rather, it is said that there was an explosion at the gas station. Initially, they said that it might have been a gas cylinder that exploded, right? I got a little training in all them thing. And when I look at the damage, I immediately said, there can't be no gas cylinder that blew up. I said it's something more significant than that. And early the morning, I got a call, and I was advised, hey, there is no gas cylinder. They don't let me tell you about no gas cylinder. I said, well, I suspected that. And then the news came out that it was a bomb, an explosive device that went off, right? An explosive device went off, and people who were nearby, including a child, 6-year-old child, was killed. Others were injured, right? And then you had all kind of thing going on, all kind of thing. Police issued a release, say that the person was a Spanish national. And I asked the question, how can you know that it's a Spanish national? And I said, hey, you could remember, student, I said on Monday, this is the type of careless reporting, police reporting Spanish national. Who is a Spanish national? And then I see now they're correcting it after to say a Spanish-speaking person. Now, even that is questionable, because if it is that no one who knew Spanish interacted with him, how do they know he's Spanish speaking? How do they know it's not Portuguese or some other foreign language? But I'm saying this thing to say to you that they are very careless in these releases. And police releases should be pinpoint accurate. You cannot say for us as you did what is a Spanish national, because a Spanish national is somebody from Spain. And then you came to say it's a Spanish-speaking person. How do you know it's a Spanish-speaking person unless someone who knows that language interacted or heard him speak, right? It's a foreign, the man spoke a foreign language, right? And I'm saying this to say to them, especially the young policemen who would reach out to me from time to time and thank me for educating them along this line. As police, you can't make those bland, wild statements. First, you can't say it's a Spanish national. Secondly, you can't say it's a Spanish-speaking person too. Because you don't know, even if the attendant, and we come to the attendant, told you that, on what basis did she say it's a Spanish-speaking person? She must have heard a word or two. Unless she knows Spanish, she can't tell you that it's a Spanish-speaking person. And you can't conclude what she says is true. That is part of the issue you have with them. And again, it is because you have people who are making these releases who ain't get a clue about proper policing and proper releases and so on. And it would appear that the people in the public cooperation, the public propaganda unit, they have carte blanche to release whatever they want to release, and these things are not properly vetted. But I'm saying this, that when we're talking about law enforcement, when we're talking about investigation, when we're talking about a terrorist attack, you have to be very, very accurate in what you give out and how this thing is conducted. Let me say what the thing is. Then we say then they give an update. Clothing was discarded by the perpetrator and subsequently retrieved by detectives. This is an updated release. Hey, what it says. The Ghana Police Force wishes to provide a further update on the investigation into the tragic explosion that occurred on Sunday, October 26, 2025 at the mobile fuel station, Regent and King Street, Georgetown, which claimed the life of a child and left 4 others injured. The Ghana Police Force has obtained a positive identification of the principal offender, Spanish-speaking foreign national, for whom a wanted bulletin was issued for terrorism. At this time, the Ghana Police Force would like to release the following photograph showing the clothing which the suspect wore during the perpetration of this deadly crime, which was found at a location in Region 3. And then they give you this. They put up this. Now, for heaven's sake, how do you know that is the clothing that was worn by this terrorist when he was not even arrested? One would have thought if you wanted to issue, first of all, this should have never been out there. I'm going to talk about that just now because this is prime evidence, right? First of all, you cannot conclusively tell the public that this is the clothing worn by the perpetrator. You have to say, as you should have said, right? Perhaps it's the clothing suspected to have been worn. You come to say, hey, what I tell you, they showing the other release of clothing which the suspect wore during the perpetration of this deadly crime, right? Which was found at a location in Region 3. And again, how can you make statements like that for public cooperation? How can you say, we're talking here about a case, we're talking about we talk about evidence. You can't go in no court and give no evidence like that. Well, they don't know, Mark Ramatar, them know what going in court, because you cannot definitively say this is the clothing that was worn by this terrorist. You cannot say that. Where is the evidence to support such a claim? Where is the evidence? And then, look what happens here. The layout, they close. I am sure, I'm going to bet big that this is not where the clothing was found. The clothing was not found in this manner. Then we understand this thing clearly. I am saying, without any fear of contradiction, that this photograph that the police released with this black pants, the blue t-shirt, and the cap, in this position, on this style and so on, this is not where the clothing was found. Let them come and tell me. Let them come. I did in the mood this morning. Let them come. Let them come and tell me otherwise. This is evidence. Because if you suspected that this is the clothing worn by this man at the time, this is evidence. And this should not, first of all, let me tell you all policing. Young police, take out your notebook. And let me give a quick background because I did forensic science for senior manager at the FBI Academy back in 1998. And I did other courses related to FBI. This is evidence. And then what needed to have been done is that if you see the clothes that you suspect this is the clothes worn by this terrorist, you take photographs of the clothes where they're in situ. You bring your forensic people, you take out the photograph exactly where it was seen, where it was found. Camera, take it out, different angles, close up and thing. You give a view so for people see where this thing was found, right? And then when that is done, when you don't take the photograph, you have to then put a bag off. This is evidence, and this is people who are trained to collect evidence. People with gloves, the same forensic people that the squad are talking about. They would have come there, They would have their evidence bag and so on, and they pick it up. They know how to handle evidence because if this is the clothing that was worn by the suspect, you're gonna have to have scientific evidence to prove that. Scientific evidence. In other words, you're looking for air, you're looking for fiber, you're looking for DNA, even fingerprint. Because with that cap, you might very well able to pick up print from it. That cap definitely would have had sweat, which you can get DNA from. You might get air from the thing. The t-shirt, similarly, you might get sweat, the pants, DNA evidence, and therefore you can't lay it out. You should not be laying out like that to contaminate it, because whatever been on this tile there now, gone. Lockhart theory of transfer. So some of the clothing will be left on the tile. Elements of the tile, microscopic elements of the tile, will be transferred to the clothing. So therefore, you contaminate the thing. You contaminate this evidence. And they proudly display this thing. When I saw this thing, right, I nearly blew a blood vessel. Because I said, how can these people be so callous? How can they be so unprofessional? Then I remember it's the police we're talking about. The guy in the police we're talking about. It's the guy in the police. So this thing was mishandled. And let me go forward, fast forward and say, I should have said it before. Let me congratulate them for identifying and arresting, not capturing, as the squatters say. Police don't capture people. Arrest. So let me congratulate the guy in the police force for identifying and arresting the suspect in this matter. But that is just a small part of what has to be done. Very, very small part. Because now you have to get evidence to link this man to this crime, this dastardly crime. And the way you have started out doesn't give me much confidence that you're going to do the proper thing. Sorry, but it doesn't give me much confidence. So the ranks on the ground did excellent work. They identify the individual. Forget about the some of these armchair people. They're making a comparison of this photograph and said this is not this and this is not the same man and so on. But I think the police later said that this image here in the blue shirt was artificially generated, AI, artificially intelligence generated, right? And nothing is wrong with that, because in the US and elsewhere, you get some sketch. A sketch artist will come and give you a sketch of what the person looked like. You put it out there so the person can be identified. So to come out, these people without any training, including some journalists, to put these two photographs there and say, well, it's not the same person or it's the same person, that is not evidence. That what you see there is not evidence. Not evidence at all. What is evidence will be, you get a clothing, and then you have to make this scientific link between the clothing and the individual. And let me run forward and tell you, when I talk about DNA, as I've said, the clothing that we see here, got to get, and this is not no guess, DNA evidence is there on the clothing. The cap in particular with sweat, the t-shirt perhaps, you get clothing there, and you get DNA can be extracted from the clothing. They talk about the forensic lab and all them type of thing. DNA can be extracted from the clothing, especially the cap, right? But here it is here now. So you have, when you talk about DNA evidence here now, you're going to have whatever evidence is extracted from the clothing there is what you call unknown. It's unknown. The evidence is the source is unknown. Yeah, in terms of the person. It comes from the clothing. You get the DNA, and they know they're going to do the magic. They're going to extract DNA, and you get it there now. Now, so you get unknown samples. Now you have to get known samples. You hearing me? You listen to me here, students? Whatever DNA is extracted from the clothing, that would be unknown sample. Unknown, because you know whose DNA is there. So it's unknown. So then you have to get known sample. So now that you get a suspect, you have to get DNA from the suspect, right? And then the scientists will be able to say if the unknown DNA matches the known DNA, and then they just come and tell you, well, the probability is 1 in 10 billion that is the same person and so on, because they would never say that yes is he. They'll just come and give you probability. So if the planet has 6 billion people, they're going to tell you probability is 1 in 7 billion that is somebody else. In other words, you know that is he. You know that is he. Now, again, I'm walking this thing through because I want this person, if this is the right one, to be convicted. Let me understand this thing clearly. I am not saying these things for this man, whoever the perpetrator is, to walk free. I am saying this to alert the police that the police have to make sure they do proper investigation. This is a case that has to be solved and convicted on scientific evidence. It's not nothing less, scientific evidence. So let me tell you all about another pitfall. So you have to close, assuming that the forensic scientists will get DNA from that clothes, the unknown samples. Now, how do you go about getting known samples? How do you go about getting known samples? This man, remember, they say he's not a Guyanese, he come from Venezuela. So chances are you ain't get family members here that you can get DNA from them and you can make the link. So I suspect you got to get DNA sample from him, from this man in custody. Now, if you're going to get DNA sample from this man in custody, you have to make sure you follow the law to get the sample. You might need to get a warrant to get the DNA sample from him. Let me walk that back. Let me go back. You can't just pick you up and say, all right, we're going to take a little blood from you, or we want a little a follicle, or we can. That may be very well illegal. You have to get proper legal authority to get a DNA sample from this man, where they're going to use blood, where they're going to use piece of fingernail or piece of toenail, where they're going to use ears. You got to make sure you do this thing right. You have to make sure, because the next thing you know, you get to court, then you hear that the samples were illegally obtained, and then that vital piece of evidence gone through the window, right? That vital piece of evidence gone through the window. So I'm walking this thing through so y'all could understand. Arresting this man, excellent work. Let me assume that he's the right person, excellent work. But it's now to put the evidence together to get a conviction. Because I heard the jump out long ago, the president and the minister, them talking about death penalty. You didn't even charge this man yet. You didn't even get evidence yet to charge this man. And you're talking about death penalty. He has not even been charged as yet. Right? Now, what evidence you are going to try to get? The most compelling evidence would be DNA evidence. The most compelling evidence would be DNA evidence. Because if the clothes that was found, the DNA matches this suspect, then you get some strong evidence that he wore this clothing. And we can see from the picture or whatever they got, that clothing similar to that. Similar, remember, not the same. You can't jump up and say the same. Clothing similar. Then you might want to deal with identification, which in this case can be problematic. Because as we saw, the man came up. Let me show this part. This man came up and he attempted, look at here. Right, he came up and he attempted to put his bag in the bin there, and from all indication, the bag contained the bomb. The pump attendant who was sitting there, she said in an interview, she told him he can't put it there, right? And then he moved on. Now, I know by now, I hope by now they have gotten a statement from her. Now, it would appear that she's the only body there who you can want to say identify this man. But that is fraught with danger because, as we saw, first of all, we know that she knew the man before. Then you would have seen that she saw him briefly in the night. So what opportunity did she get to see this man properly, where she can say that if she sees him again, she can recognize him. If she sees him again, she can recognize him. And I hope that when they took the statement from that young lady, that would have been borne out. Because again, in terms of policing, you take a statement, you saw this man. She ought to have been made to say whether she would be able to recognize this man if seen again. If so, how? And if she say that, look, well, I can't recognize you if I see again, then you have no identification parade. If it is that she makes a statement that maybe she can identify him if seen again, and she explained to you how, then maybe yes, ID parade. So this perpetrator or this perp can be identified, right? But let me say this too. That pump attendant, madam, is a good thing you were alert and you prevented that criminal from placing that bomb in that container. Kudos to you for your alertness. Well, it's a bravery. I ain't too sure about the bravery part based on what we saw. But you were alert, right? Because had that man succeeded in putting that device there, that device was likely to go off right next to you. And given the devastating it caused to cars and nearby buildings and all that everything, you would have been a goner. You would have been a goner, right? And it looked like it was being put close to one of the pumps. And if that pump, if it had gone up there and ruptured that pump, gas would have flowed. And then for all you know, you get a big conflagration, big fire and glass bottle blowing up. She, by that action, averted a catastrophe, right? Catastrophe. Because again, if that thing had put next to you, look what the thing did to cars. Look where you saw the video, where you saw the video of nearby building. As far away as the court, the blast, the shockwave, damage, windows and so on. She would have been a dead woman. She would have been a dead woman. And the resulting rupture to gas pump and all this everything, thing next year catch fire. Because I understand those tanks hold about 20,000 gallons of gasoline. It's big problem she averted there by telling you can't put it there, right? Can't put it there. And I heard the interview she gave. She can't put it, he put it elsewhere. And then some other attendant saw it and kicked the thing. And then she said they believe, because she said she looked little bulky. Looked little bulky. Again, so therefore, in terms of identification, I don't know how much value she will have as a witness to identify the perp, right? Then, as I've said, coming back to the forensic, is DNA. May I know if you could get fingerprint or other evidence from the clothing? From the clothing, right? From the clothing. I understand, and then you know that there was this, they called him a press briefing yesterday. Oh, what a disaster. I have had several calls, several messages, people commenting on what they saw there as a press relief. Now, let me recount what the police, through the crime chief and others, say happened. They are claiming that this man came into Guyana Sunday morning at 8 o'clock. They are precise. He came in at 8 o'clock. So the impression that is being conveyed is that this man came in to Guyana. They say he met with other Venezuelan and people. He traveled. And he came with the explosive. He came with the explosive. Now, again, I say as a police, I think in as police. That is what he told them. Now, have you been able to verify that? Or this man feeding you all some fancy story? This terrorist feeding y'all some fancy story to put you off track of something. He came in at 8 o'clock. They say where he crossed or so. Well, he crossed, you got to assume perhaps he came in Region 1, traveled all the way down to the Exxon gas station in Regent Street to place his device. Something seems amiss. The man traveled this bomb all the way. How did he come? Speedboat, vehicle? What? Well, I understand that they claim the investigation is ongoing. And I shouldn't be unfair. Maybe all of that will be revealed in time. But I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm not going to hold my breath because they don't give frequent updates. But if it is that he came in, as I said, at 8 o'clock Sunday morning, traveled to Georgetown, to the Regent and King Street location, obviously with the sole purpose of causing mayhem. Because if you put in this bomb next to this young lady in this thing, if you were allowed to put it there, you ought to know, perhaps that was your intention, that was your motive, to cause maximum damage to people around and the facility. So you came all the way, and then they claim to, according to the crime chief, that the man said that this thing was some switch detonated this thing. Again, you can't just believe what this man said. You have to have your forensic experts. By now, you ought to know what type of device was used, the type of explosive, if the explosive same or similar to the ones used previous attacks at the Eastern Ramdan station as at the GPS substation. Science can determine all of those things. Science can determine what was what was used as a detonating device. The man he pressed some switch. More than that, then just press some switch. So he flick some switch in the car when he go back in the car, and this thing go off and so on. Something, again, he might have said that to you, right? But you can't just accept that on face value. You have got to now do your investigation to prove or to disprove what the man said. Because the man might be telling you, sending you down a rabbit hole. The man might be sending you down a rabbit hole. And then you're glad, you get breakthrough, you jump on your thing and so on. So that is what was revealed at the press conference yesterday. The man came in Sunday, man traveled, then he ended up at East Bank Executive. And then the question is asked, if this man came in Sunday morning for the sole purpose it would appear of setting off this thing, because one bomb he had, one bomb. Why did he linger? Came in Sunday, I think they arrested him yesterday, Tuesday. Gone and do some sightseeing. You gone and do sightseeing. How this man know this location? Why was this particular location identified? Does it have anything to do with the fact that it's a Exxon location? You know, Exxon doing exploration, not only exploration, oil extraction offshore Guyana. We know the issue with Venezuela. All of these things have to be taken into consideration. Don't just take what this man tell you. Don't just take. And then they claim that when the man came, the man met, he had people from Guyana helping him, and he had other Venezuelans helping him and so on. They got to determine to the extent to the help they get. This thing, although this was arrested, this real investigation only now start, to piece together all the evidence, first of all, to bring a successful prosecution. And in addition to that, to see linkages, because they tell you, the commissioner, that, well, I can tell you some of the things he said yesterday, but to see whether it's a lone wolf arrangement. But you know it's lone wolf. Because if you came and they said the man had people to operate with you and so on, then clearly he was not a lone wolf. I understand lone wolf means you act alone independently, but it was clear that this man didn't acting independently. He had assistance. That is what was conveyed. So well, yes, the porous borders, this man just coming like that. And let me go through some other stuff. The commissioner yesterday, poor chap. First of all, let me tell you also about this press conference. what they claim to have had or what they had. Again, I say, I make note. I have never seen, I got to congratulate the minister on putting together this press conference. Guys, this is the minister's press conference, right? And let me refer to my notes. She hosted this press conference. And then somebody said to me that the minister seems to have had military training. Why? We say so? Because already the minister seems to she fall in and cover down. You know, there's a military phrase, fall in and cover down. I was a drill instructor, so the falling and cover down. So she has fallen in and look at she cover down. Right? All right. So you had the press conference. The first question I want to ask in respect to that, why was this press conference held at the Ministry of Home Affairs? Y'all bear with me, bear with me. I just think this thing deep. I grew up with a man in the force named Larry Leland Lewis. And he taught me these things are important, these things are significant. So you get a press conference to deal with a policing or a police operational matter. And the press conference is hosted by the Minister of Home Affairs, the minister in the Ministry of Home Affairs. And Larry Lewis will say, Diane Ackman, a press conference of that nature, dealing with the arrest and matters relating to a terrorist attack, must be held in the police environment, either the commissioner's conference room or the police officers miss something. They got to understand that. You got to understand that. The fact that you held this press conference at the Ministry of Home Affairs, the fact that you involved Jerry Govaya, I didn't even know he's still around, the National Security Advisor. Make a note of some of the people. Hold on, man, hold on. Here what the press conference, you had the minister. You had Omar Khan, the Chief of Defense Staff, they call him. You had Colonel Owell. They say he's the man in charge of the National Intelligence something, NISA. Ikin, the extended squatter. Jerry Govaya, the National Security Advisor. Blanham, the crime chief. Budram, Deputy Commissioner Admin. Watts, Deputy Commissioner Operations. McBean, Deputy Commissioner in charge of the division. That is where the incident took place. And other special branch, me even know he exists too. A lot of window dressing. Why all these people to do what? And they sit down there, they are props. Then who the people spoke? The minister spoke, the commissioner spoke, Blanham spoke, Owell spoke. Of the 10 that were there, I can't recall any other body speaking. So 6 of them just went there for window dressing. And when a question was eventually posed to Watts, he was prevented from answering. He was prevented from answering. So what was he doing there? First of all, I'm saying the location was wrong. Yeah, come for me, man. Come for me. The location was bad. This had not have been kept at the ministry's boardroom. This should have been kept at the commissioner's boardroom or someone of the place the police officers missed or somewhere there. That is where this should have been kept. And to have all of these people there, Jerry Govaya and them just sit up. Somebody sent a photograph who said Jerry looked like when you were going to university and you did a group paper and one of the members of the group recognized that they did not subscribe anything. And he sit down there pensive. That's how Jerry looked in the thing. Just sit down there for make up number. Just make up number. That's what you have, right? Then I say the significance of appearance. Hosting a press conference at the ministry conveys the impression that the minister is in charge of what is clearly a police operational matter. Let me understand this. That is the impression that is created, right? Then I went on to say, well, the number of forces in attendance, right? And then I'm going to touch on some of the issues raised during the press conference. Come on, y'all share. We get good numbers here, but share. I hope y'all going to congratulate me for batting alone and doing what I believe is fairly well. Let me praise myself, man. I want you praise me. Y'all going to give me a thumbs up. Well, y'all ain't giving me thumbs up. Y'all ain't going to say thanks for the things that I'm saying. But I'm going to continue because I don't do this to thumbs up and praise. I'm doing it so that people can be informed and educated, right? So we talk about the DNA, we talk about the procedure, how you're going to get DNA. I hope they're listening, because, and forget about the messenger. This is a case where I show it has gained widespread coverage, international coverage, and therefore you're already looking bad. I don't want to look worse. You want to make sure that you do what you got to do. Do the correct thing. Do the correct thing. Somebody tell me, sir, there's a troll. Let me look for the troll, man. Hold on. I'd like to find them, you know. Somebody said there's a troll. Man, how long ago it was. But, you know, let me see. All a while, y'all be with me. I'm trying to find the troll. Can't find the troll. Anyhow, we are allowed the troll to distract us and keep us off. You can deal with the troll at some later stage, right? We can deal with it at some later stage, right? So again, because I'm alone, I ain't getting the opportunity that to glance across there as frequently as I would. So the commissioner is there. The commissioner is there. He makes a statement. He makes a statement that he reads a statement that was prepared for him. Let me put it this way. He reads a statement that was prepared for him. But I'm not going to go through the entire statement. But again, I'm talking about accuracy. I'm talking about the need as a police commissioner and police to look at and detail when you're going to give information, make sure it is detailed. Again, I say, them this year couldn't work with Larry Lewis. He would have embarrassed them to death. They couldn't work with all them basic mistakes that they made, right? So he talks about all involved and the direction of the investigation. Now, let me, this is the second page. Let me start to the first page. The commissioner speaks about the Guyana Police Force has made a significant breakthrough in the investigation into the October 26th explosion at the mobile fuel station, Regional King Street, Jasham. An act that tragically claimed the life of 6-year-old Soraya Bourne and left 4 other persons injured. Then he goes on to say, preliminary investigations reveal that on the night in question, a male Spanish-speaking individual. I have a problem with that, Commissioner. How do you know it is a Spanish-speaking individual? Is that what the pump attendant told you? Is she familiar with the Spanish language to make such a pronouncement? You see, again, I say, they're not police, you know, they might wear police uniform, but they're not police. And that is why they can make this type of nonsense. And when I come for them, well, they don't come for me any longer because they know I solid. According to Daco Cummins, I was tested and found to be made of pure steel. Daco Cummins, 5887 Ross, 5897 Cummins, I think was his number. He used to tell me, I now come, I was tested and proven to be made of pure steel, right? So he said preliminary investigation revealed that on the night in question, a male Spanish-speaking individual was observed in the vicinity of the fuel station carrying a large plastic bag. How, Commissioner, do you know? Pray, tell us, how do you know it is a Spanish-speaking individual? Who heard him speak Spanish? For you to come and conclusively say he's a Spanish-speaking individual. That is not how police operate. That is now real police operate, right? Then he goes on to say, moments later, a powerful explosion occurred on the western side of the premises, resulted in the death of, and here this is the death of Anne. Death of Anne, A.N. 6-year-old child. Oh my God. Not a 6-year-old child, of Anne 6-year-old child. Somebody write this thing, and they don't check these things. It's embarrassment. That's about Anne 6-year-old. That's Anne 6-year-old. I learned that when you're going to use Anne, the subject, they're going to start with some vowel. S is not a vowel, at least not where I went to school, maybe at IFLOT and Kanji University. But the death of Anne's 6-year-old child, Andrew Slaughter. Then he goes on to say, from the outset, a special investigative task force was established comprising members of the major crime unit Criminal Investigation Department, Regional 3, 4A, and B, and other key stakeholders supported by intelligence and forensic experts. So this thing was forensic. So, tell me, tell me, you had forensic experts, and that is the way how this clothes, the clothing and what was handled. Yeah, that is how this clothing was handled with forensic experts. They put it up and they lay it out. They show the whole them and put them there and take out photograph and so on. So whatever forensic work you get, whatever confidence we need to repose in these forensic experts when they allowed evidence to be displayed like openly like that. Openly like that. Then he goes on. He talks about work of the police and technology. He goes on the force in collaboration with Safe City Command Center and allied intelligence agencies utilize video forensic analysis, digital tracking, and data correlation to trace the suspect's movements before and after the incident. So he's telling us that the suspect movements were traced before and after the incident. I would expect, and this is not knocking, that we talk about after the before the incident, that would have been tracing back. That would have been working back from when the incident occurred to see how he arrived there, where he came from, and all of that. So I ain't looking out. Then he said, acting on a credible information. My Lord, oh Lord. Patrick, you're vexing me, but I have to find out. Acting on a credible information. That's what he said. You know, you get a credible information. But that's what he said. Acting on a credible information and through interagency coordination with field intelligence investigators were able to locate the suspect at Virgin Nugent Sideline Dam, East Bank, Essequibo, where he was captured. Commissioner, there is not a police board. He wasn't captured. Where he was arrested. Come on, man. Come on. At least you need to know that much. You can't, as Commissioner of Police, telling people that this suspect was captured. You get Mark Ramatada writing all sort of shit, and then you just come in and read it, the thing, and making yourself look bad. Well, not bad, worse. Or I can't see them people say, worse, right? You can't come and tell your Commissioner of Police, reading from a prepared statement, to tell people a suspect was captured. That is what you're telling people. And then they go on to say, in a coordinated operation led by a superintendent. Why the rank of the person who led this operation has to be mentioned? I want y'all, from the time they say led by a superintendent, me, with little knowledge, I don't know is who led this operation. I don't know is who because it's a superintendent. Not led by an officer, but even that is not important. The man was apprehended or arrested, but you were captured. Right? Words mean a lot. Words mean a lot. And why a superintendent? You're talking about the terrorist act. You come before you talk about the major crime unit and so on. Now, when you're telling people this operation was led by a superintendent, people who know the system can reasonably conclude who this person is. And if you're talking about real terrorists, then you're putting these people at lives at stake, at risk. A real terrorist. I don't know if this man is a real terrorist. The act is a real terrorist act. Then he goes on to say, they all involve and directions of the investigation. He says several other persons of interest are being questioned as the force expands its probe to determine whether the act was part of a larger organized network or a lone wolf operation. But based on what the crime chief and based on what you say, it's not a lone wolf operation. Lone wolf means the man acted independently and alone. I have to research it to check it. Independently and alone. It is clear this wasn't independent and he wasn't alone. It is clear based on what you have said. So I don't know what you're telling people. Then here, oh lad, they're gone again. Here is it. Charges under the Terrorism Act. Based on the evidence gathered thus far, detectives are establishing the elements to support the charges of Section 309A and 309B of the Criminal Law Offences Act, Chapter 8-1, which addresses acts of terrorism and conspiracy to commit terrorism. Additionally, Additional charges relating to murder, attempt murder, arson, and malicious damage to property are being actively pursued pending legal advice from the Director of Public Prosecution. Why all this fluff? Why all this fluff? You're investigating at some stage, you're going to advise what charges are to be laid. But you come and tell me this section and all them type of thing. Nobody ain't interested in that. Who is interested in, who can check to see whether section 309A and 309B of the Criminal Offences Act, chapter 81, speaks to what you talk about? Irrelevant. Irrelevant. And then it says, here what and this is the fluff, you know. This is what the scan tech. Here what this commissioner of police is telling us, you know. Listen to me carefully. I ain't been to secondary school and all them type of thing, but I think I can read, I can understand. I get good comprehension. I get good common sense, which is not common, right? But here what he says in this paragraph, this seems to have been the penultimate paragraph. This incident, here what the commissioner of police said, this incident demonstrates the force capability, discipline, and professionalism supported by effective use of technology and intelligence-led policing. Let me read it back, and I want your comment on it. He said the incident, in other words, the bombing and the killing of this child demonstrates the force capability, discipline, and professionalism supported by the effective use of technology and intelligence-led policing. Is the incident demonstrate that? You wait. So what really you're trying to say? What really the commissioner is trying to say? That the bombing, which resulted, this terrorist bombing, which resulted in the death of this child and the injury to others, he said this demonstrates the force capability. And in a bombing demonstrate the force, not the arrest of this man, you know. Listen to me carefully, students. He is saying that the arrest of the suspect and the good work of the investigators have demonstrated the force capability. He said the incident, there is the bombing, demonstrates the capability of the. So is y'all do the bombing? Tell me that, man. Is y'all do the bombing? How can the incident, a bombing incident, a terrorist bombing incident, demonstrates the force capability, discipline, and professionalism, supported by effective use of technology and intelligent-led policing? Tell me, you mean to say that the fact that the police acted with such alacrity and was able to apprehend the suspect, that I think that's what you mean. But again, people writing these things, and then you're talking about, you're going to read this nonsense, this nonsenseness. And I tell you, when you all read and you all write, I get the opportunity to go through it and analyze it. Long ago, back in the day, I might have called somebody and say, hey man, you make a mistake there, change that. But now, I have to come on this forum, and if you're all embarrassed, I don't care. I don't give a rat's posterior. I don't care. Because it's a lot of nonsenseness you're writing and saying. It's really sad, yeah, Marlon, sad. That and here, you know, let me say this. We ain't talking about the commissioner going there and ad-libbing, talking off the top, which he's not capable of doing. We're talking about a prepared statement, a prepared statement. Wait, somebody ain't got you this thing? Somebody ain't vet this thing to make these type of corrections? Yeah? I must say a special type of stupidity. And I must say you're insulting stupid people. Because even stupid people, although Jack do say, guy, they get a lot of stupid people, you know, right? And most of them are associated with him. Most of them. But these are the type of statements that show how unprofessional and how incompetent these people are. You get an opportunity. I have always said, because even on this program when I speak, many times, grammatical and other errors, yeah, you talk, words gone, words are wind gone. They say, you know, they say the slip of the tongue is not the fault of the mind. Sometimes your brain walking faster than your mouth running and you say wrong things, but then you recognize and you correct yourself. But I've always said, when you put it down in writing, black and white, kagaj, when you get kagaj, you get the opportunity to go over and to read over, get someone to review it to make sure that it is almost perfect. Because this is a statement released to the world for the world to see. And in a 3-page, two page a little bit, 2 page a little bit with big space in to find all of these errors is troubling. Not surprising, it is troubling. Coming from the head of the Guyana Police Force. It is indeed very, very troubling. Right? Patrick, I believe you, Patrick said, traditionally, upper echelon the Guyana Police Force does not really defer to exports. No, that is not fact of life. As I tell you, I spent a lot of my command years working with Larry Lewis as commissioner and other commissioners. And I was considered an expert in certain areas when it comes to drill and musketry and all this everything, and they defer to me. Many times they will call me about a particular issue relating to drill and musketry and the operations of the TSU and tactical arrangements and so on, and I will have my way. I will have sway when I advise them, well, this is it. But you don't just say, well, this is it. You got to explain to them why it is so. Many of them don't defer because they don't have confidence in those people who are there. Because many of them are imposters. They don't have the knowledge. They just sit down there and they believe because a man in a position, you know. Because a man in a position, you think, you know. Many times they're just there, especially in this era where many people are pitchforked into these positions and they don't have a clue. So how can then the head of the organization listen to them and defer to them? They know, in many cases, now what we have is not the head of the organization responsible for them being there. They're there because of politics. So when issues come up, they don't have the confidence that they could call them and get professional guidance and advice from them. They don't have that. They don't have that. Let me move on with this same thing with this press conference. Some statements were made at the press conference there. Oh my God! First of all, I understand and I listened to it. Yeah. When the question came up about illegal Venezuelans in particular into the country, hear what the commissioner said. Commissioner said that within 3 weeks, within the next 3 weeks, they're gonna run them up and they have a document, some crap they're gonna talk. And I am reminded, I was forced to read a memo coming out of the ministry from, let me pull it up here and read it to you, from our neighboring Trinidad and Tobago, dated October the 27th. Dated October the 27th. It says here, subject, a moratorium on the release of illegal immigrants on order of supervision, on orders of supervision. And this is from the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Homeland Security, to the Chief Immigration Officer, Immigration Division. It says here, short, the Honorable Minister of Homeland Security has instructed that all illegal immigrants detained are to be held at the Immigration Detention Center until repatriation. They are not to be placed on orders of supervision, as consideration is currently being given for the implementation of a mass deportation exercise for all illegal immigrants. This policy takes immediate effect and shall remain in force until further instructions are issued by the Honorable Minister, signed Permanent Secretary, Acting Ministry of Homeland Security. That is the action that you need. Tell you, give them 3 weeks. You know what? Mayhem can be caused in 3 weeks. First of all, we have porous borders. It is alleged that you allowed that situation to develop because you wanted them to come. Many of them have identification card, the Venezuelans I'm referring to, for vote. To vote. So you allow them to come. No proper checks of those people who come in. Sometimes the minister gives some figure, the former Minister of Home Affairs gave a figure in Parliament when questions were asked as to the number of Venezuelans in the country. Then some other figure given. They don't know because they don't have any system of checking on these people. They just come across the border just like that, boatload after boatload. A lot of criminals. a lot of decent people, I suspect, just escaping the hardship in Venezuela. But I have said this, and I'm saying this again. I am sure that given the posture, this is a word the squatter like use, given the posture of Maduro, I am sure a lot of the people who have come across into Guyana from Venezuela are military assets. I am sure. Members are the military assets. I am sure, as a man with training and some experience, by now they have all the coordinates of all your key and vulnerable points. They have it there. How you think this man get to Exxon gas station at Regent and King Street? How you think he get there? And people know what's going on. They get the minister Ben had said they get sleepers. They get the sleepers here. People who have been inserted to get information and so on. They get their sleepers in Guyana. Trojan horses, they have them here. But rather than using this terrorist incident as a catalyst to make sure you round up all the illegal people. We're talking about illegal. No one should be in your country illegally. Have them deported. The minister talking about some electronic ID card and they're going to get. And comrade, you all understand what you really are doing? You understand the impact or the consequences for national security of these actions? You're going to regularize them? They come already in Guyana. Almost in every area, you have the Venezuelans. You go in the restaurant, Venezuela. You got the car wash, Venezuela. You got the roadside. You got the Chinese store. Everywhere you get Venezuelans. They're taking over. And I am not being xenophobic. I am saying that given the problem with Venezuela, where Maduro claims 2/3 of Guyana, we have got to be more careful with these people. We have got to be extremely careful. And when I asked yesterday, Ikin, about weather records and fingerprints, he said, well, when they register, they'll take fingerprints and all of these type of things. That's what I'm saying. Many of these things may be not true. But he should know. Ikin should know, because back when the coalition was in power, he was seconded to the Ministry of Citizenship. But I understand the responsibility of compiling a database of Venezuelans in the country. But what he did, it is alleged that rather than doing that, he spent most of his time at a particular establishment on Lombard Street. Spent a lot of time at the establishment on Lombard Street. You're going to find out this way he used to sit down on Lombard Street. So, again, when efforts were made then to make sure you get some type of database and so on, maybe they chose the wrong person to go on that exercise. But to say that you're going to try to regularize in the face of this, look what Trinidad doing. They decide that all the illegal people, and I agree with them, illegal are going to be rounded up and repatriated, send them back where they come from. Something similar should happen in Guyana. Something, even if you don't want to do it all the time, now that you have this, and as I said, because this is the third incident, third reported incident. I say reported because I understand there was a fourth that was never reported. This is the third reported incident, terror incident. The night back, I think in May or something there, remember we had a device blow off the whole of the back gate at the East Randville outpost, blow off the whole back thing. And I said then, there got to be a powerful device. And almost simultaneously, they said the GPL substation on Mandela Avenue was also attacked. And then later on, they claimed that they arrested some Guyanese. They claimed that some Spanish people were wanted in connection with that. They were the main suspects. We knew nothing. And when Blano was asked about it, he said that the one body charge, the matter ongoing, and he ain't gonna comment on it. He ain't comment on nothing much, which is not surprising. He can't comment on nothing much. He just always, I can't comment on that now. A lot of things, let me understand this thing clearly. Some of the things, I agree. Some of the details the media and the people would want to know. You're not at liberty as an investigator, as a person in charge of crime and so on to give out. But a lot of the stuff that the people ask for is there should be nothing preventing you from providing that. And that is where the trust breaks down because everything, oh, I can't comment on that now. I can't comment. If you're not going to trust in you, and there's where speculation and now run rife. All type of speculation can get in the place. Rather than be able to be, first of all, you need to be proactive in dealing with the media. I learned that. So much so that we had sat down with aid from the people from the UK and devised a new media policy. My name Beverly, some Collins, I think Beverly Collins. We sat down at the police officers' mess over a few days. We had input from the local media people, and we devised a strategy. All of them got through the window. So you have 3 years ago, according to Garden mostly, it's 3 years ago since the commissioner had a press conference. That is with the Bascom matter, which blew up spectacularly in the face and Blanham. And since then, they said, and when you brackle them on the sideline, the Salawalayan. The story is told that there was a activity at the police officers' mess annex there. And of course, the media were waiting the commissioner to ask him some questions, but they don't know the place good, they don't know the geography of the place. They might beat out through some other exit and gone. So when they're sitting down or standing up waiting for him to pass at the regular main entrance, they might beat out from the next exit and gone anyway. That's what you have. Fear is the key. Alistair McLean. I think he wrote the book now, Patrick. Alistair McLean, Fear is the key. Guns of Navarone and all them thing them we used to read as little by. So that is what you have happening, right? And then here they say, buddy, here this. The crime chief said that the suspect confessed to this crime. This terrorist confessed to this crime. Well, I have a lot of questions to ask about that. And let me start now. They said this man is Spanish speaking, he can't speak English. So in what language was this confession done? Spanish? Portuguese? What language? You have the translator? Who was the translator? I hope the translator was not a police. I am hoping, Mr. Crime Chief, Minister of Home Affairs, Ikin, I'm hoping that you all are go to the court and tell the court that the translator, the man who translated this confession from the terrorist from Spanish to English, was a member of the Guyana police force. I hope y'all ain't going and do that, you know. I hope y'all ain't going and do that. I hope that whoever the translator was is somebody who is well established, because the first thing that happen, once it's translation, you gotta set up, and the man gotta be deemed expert in translation. He know the language and all and everything. All that gotta happen. Was the translator sworn in? Look, let me tell you all something. Y'all really and understand what's going on, you know. Was this translator made to sign some oath or something to translate truthfully and so on? What was that done? You just bring somebody who know habla Espanola and who know those traits and say that he is a translator. Once you're going to translate, you got to get a professional translator. His background into translating from one language to the next has to be well established. He has to be more or less sworn to translate truthfully. That was part of me training. Part of me training. You can't just bring anybody but say them is translator just so. No, it doesn't work like that. It does not work. And here again, let me ask you this. This is a foreign national. You all say he's from Venezuela. Was the embassy, was any representative from the embassy invited to be there? Was any representative from the embassy invited to be there? And then Blanham said that when the man, the judge's rule, told him of his rights, you know, caution, you're not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so. Anything you say, we take nothing in writing, we give me evidence, caution one. They give the caution. And then Blanham said that he was then told of his right to have an attorney. Well, let me tell you this, buddy. The judge's rule that Guyana use and get apart. In the US, what they call the Miranda rules, when you Mirandize somebody, yes, you tell him that of his right to have an attorney. And if he cannot retain one, one will be provided to him. That is Miranda rules. That is the protocol in the US. maybe they did tell him of his rights to have an attorney, and the man refused. Tell no, me I want no attorney. I want no attorney. I am going to say what I have to say. This terrorist, this terrorist. They say, no, I ain't got no authority. They don't link you with some terrorist group. No, but not some criminal group. And this ardent terrorist who traveled from Venezuela to Guyana on Sunday to carry out a terrorist attack at a gas station. This man decided, all right, I waive him rights, man. I want no liar. I ain't one thing I can tell you what you all want for no one, son. And they get one of them, the Scarly self journalists, that on the thing this morning. We read something just now. All this man say, and words to the effect that this suspect was questioned intensely and continuously. What? I hope the police didn't do that. I hope that the police know that you can't question a suspect in that manner continuously. Because once you do that, it's a violation of the judge's rules, right? And whatever he says is going to be thrown out. I hope y'all get that done properly. Because y'all going to come to say that he was offered refreshment. All of those things got to be properly documented. This thing, again, this is a terrorist act. And you got to make sure you dot all the I's and cross the T's. You got to make sure these things are comprehensive and documented. What time he came into custody, what time he was offered food, what time he get water, and all this other thing. All of these things got to be things. Was he made where he was kept? He put to sleep. I see y'all bringing in without shot. Was he allowed to remain like that? Because if you get him without shot in some oppressive condition, the caution statement that I just said he gave can go through the window. He can go through the window, right? So let me understand this thing. It's not them thing where they're jumping around. All of them on on social media, they turn investigators, they turn forensic and analysts, and we are telling you, I am telling you what I was trained on. And don't take me word, you can go and check it out, right? This is not no ordinary investigation. This is an investigation involving a foreign national who's alleged to have committed a terrorist act in Guyana. And so therefore, everything that you do must be able to withstand legal and other scrutiny. You got to be perfect. You can't afford to get nothing wrong here. You cannot afford to get anything wrong, especially since the president and the Ministry of Affairs done talking about death penalty. They're already talking about death penalty. They're not charged yet. They aren't charged yet, but they're talking about death penalty. So I'm saying to you that is even more reason why you have to make sure, as we would say, you got to tie this thing up. You got to tie you up like iguana. Not literally. Not literally. You got to tie you up like iguana. And especially you come now to say caution statement. I am saying to you that the evidence that you have to get to convict this man got to be scientific evidence, forensic evidence from the clothes and other forensic evidence. Talking about the coming back to the bomb. Have they been able to determine yet what type of device was used? What type of explosive was used? What was the triggering mechanism for this thing? All of these things are very, very important. This man said he traveled with this thing all the way from Venezuela. All this thing got to check. Was it military grade explosive? Or is it explosive? You can go and buy fertilizer and so on and create this bomb. Come on, man. Come on. And I believe, let me say this. I believe that if you all put your heads together, you might be able to determine the correct course and don't make no mistake. But if it's a one man running off or two men running off, and you get an instruction from politicians who don't know the ace on the ass, you're going to run into trouble. Because when you hear people talking about death penalty and rush you to do things that are not legally correct, then when the time comes, you're going to get into embarrassment. You're going to get embarrassment. And let me say this too. I hope that wherever this terror suspect is kept and the others, is properly secured. So next thing you know, the man get away. Next thing you know, Jackie Opel came. And he came not with one song, but he came with an entire album or entire collection. And then you hear the man disappeared. Or, worse yet, then we can hear that the man was there, and then we hear the man commit suicide. That man in custody, y'all make sure y'all follow the necessary standing order about visits. Follow make sure documented all the time he visited, and all them things got to be there. And let me understand, all them things got to be there. Yeah, Mark, a lot of export they there and they don't know Jack. They don't know Jack. They tell about the clothing and the man, I look like the same man. That is irrelevant. That is irrelevant. You can't carry the picture, this picture to court to say, well, it don't look like it's the same person. You can't carry that to court. What you have to present in court is concrete evidence. And I said before, let me remind them that when you go to the court, it is not about what you know. It's not even about what actually took place. Because we know the bombing took place, we know a child dead. It's about the evidence you can present to convince the court, in this case, it can be judge and jury, that this perpetrator committed this act. It's the evidence you got to produce. So let me understand this clearly. It's not what you know. You know that the place bombed, you know that the child died, and you know all of this, you know. You know all of that. What evidence can you produce in court to convince a jury that this is the person who carried out those acts? That is what is important. Evidence in the various forms, whether direct, whether circumstantial, evidence you got to produce. Evidence is what you have to produce. Let me see what more I have here to talk about. You said the suspect cooperating. What is the extent of the cooperation? I don't know. Right? I don't know. Let me see. Well, I think I covered the areas that I had here to cover. I did well, I think. I did well, almost 2 hours. Almost 2 hours with just a few sips of water, my mouth dry and all and everything. Let me say this. Today is Wednesday. Tomorrow is Thursday. You know what is happening on Thursday? What I noted that the frequency of that abuse out has reduced. I noted. I don't think there was any last week. I noted it has reduced. I noted too, as I tried to wind up, the told y'all proclamation made for the commencement of the 13th Parliament is Monday coming, you know. The 3rd of November, Monday coming. I told y'all too that watch the ride. Because since Azadin and his father were indicted by the grand jury in the US, I and most people had expected that by now the authorities would have made a request for the extradition of the Mohammeds. I ain't hear nothing yet. The fact that you're in here doesn't necessarily mean that things ain't happening, right? You're in here, but that doesn't necessarily mean that things ain't happening, right? We said that given the proclamation, the 13th Parliament will be convened on Monday, the 3rd of November at the Arthur Chung Convention Center at 2 p.m. That is what the proclamation said. It is said that at that first meeting, there will be a speaker. I know the swearing all the parliamentarian first, I'm not sure the order, but the parliamentarians are going to be sworn in. A speaker will be elected. A deputy speaker will be elected. And I understand that that is the extent of the business for that first day. Me are no expert on parliament, but telling you what I understand. Right? I asked the question on several previous occasions, would Azadin Mohammed be sworn in as a member of parliament on that day? According to the people of Guyana, he should be, because he was elected. His party gained 16 seats, so maybe he's going to be sworn in. And if he is sworn in, we understand that the order is, or the convention is, that the speaker will then summon a meeting of the members of the opposition at some future date. Then say how long after the swearing of, or how long after the commencement of parliament that meeting is to be convened. But they say sometime after the first meeting. And then they say that at that meeting, which is chaired by the speaker, but the speaker does not vote, the members of the opposition will then elect a leader of the opposition. And I asked the question, when would that, let's assume that Azadin is sworn in on the 3rd, along with the other members of parliament. It is then up to the speaker to summon that meeting of members of the opposition. And therefore, we are no longer going to take. And even when they come there now for that meeting, whether Azadin Mohammed gone there wrong to be elected as leader of the opposition. You got there, you can. I don't think it can be done virtually or remotely. The swearing and the election of the leader of the opposition, you can't do it. I don't think it can be done virtually. So you have to be present. And therefore, if you're not present, then maybe you cannot be sworn in. Let me watch it, man. It's just about a week or so from now. That is the first part, the convening of parliament and the swearing of the member of parliament. Let me watch. Take your cokes and your popcorn. I can take something stronger. Take something stronger, because watch the ride. I've been warning about this long. Watch the ride. Watch the ride. And see what will play out. Because, as I've said, I am convinced from all the utterings and so on that the PPP want Azadin Mohammed to be a member of parliament, and more so the leader of the opposition. Yes, that is my belief. That is my view. Can't stop me from having my view. My view is based on all that is going on. You know what? And they're going to do everything they can. I was saying it a long time, to prevent him from getting into that position. So, as I said, we are in uncharted waters. And the unfortunate thing, we're in uncharted waters, and the global positioning system, the GPS, is not working. So we don't know where we are in. We don't know where we are in. When we arrive there, then we can know. When we arrive, folks, I've had 2 hours, my mouth dry. And Toro didn't even offer me a drink, man. My mouth dry after talking for 2 hours. And some people say me like talk. Well, when you got good thing to talk about, you got to talk, right? You got to talk. And where do I end today? As I said, this terrorist thing ain't done yet, you know. This terrorist thing, this attack is not finished. I did tell you all too that the murder trial of Christophe de Nabriga, who is accused of murdering Quinlan Bacchus, is ongoing in the High Court. There's something you should watch. There's something you should watch, because it is ongoing. Where the policeman, well, you're not police any longer, because the squatter dismissed him from the day he got to court. There was no presumption of innocence. And I have said before, follow that case, because this is a case that is, others were charged as well. Don't forget that. Christophe de Nabriga, charged with murdering Quinlan Bacchus. But then you have what I believe to be an innocent person, Damien McLennan, charged with some fancy offense. And Thurston Simon also charged with some offense. He should have been charged with some disciplinary offense, but even before the institution of the disciplinary charge, he can dismiss him. right? So that part wasn't done. But it seems to me that how things are going, the murder charge is going to finish before the summary charges in the Marshall Code done. You think Ghana can be a real place? It looked like the murder charge, because that is actively going on. The prosecution is presenting witnesses. So it seems as though that is going to finish before the summary charges related to other offenses associated with that incident is going to finish. Ghana is not a real place. Ghana is not a real place, right? So that is what we have. Now, let me say this. I can play y'all your Wednesday tune, and that will give me some change to get a little refreshment. And then, well, before I do that, I must get this one. Look at this. Hold on. Look at this. This was a wanted bulletin issued in relation to the same. Well, I'm not sure if it's in relation to this, but this was a wanted bulletin issue. And you know, the police are jokes, you know. Corporate wanted Roberto Fuentes, the driver and owner of vehicle number PSS 7874, is asked to visit the police station closest to his residence. Yeah, wanted bulletin they put out, you know. The wanted bulletin, they wanted. You see they're big in red, wanted. But then they're asking this man to visit the police station closest to his residence. A wanted man. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this police force is joke, you know. I sometimes I can't recognize the organization I served in for 37 years, but this is joke. This man wanted bulletin, but then he's asked to visit the police station nearest to his residence. I understand that the Quinlan Bacchus murder trial, the prosecution closed its case, and they are due now to make submissions. You know, again, a little quick teaching. The prosecution would have called witnesses to prove that the Nabriga killed Bacchus. Call witness after witness, present evidence, scientific evidence, I would present. When they finish presenting the evidence and the prosecution said, case closed, then the defense is given an opportunity to make submissions. This is where now they're going to perhaps make submission to say that the matter should be dismissed because no case has been made out against the Nabriga. So I understand that that is where it's at. Submissions are to be made tomorrow. So the defense will make submissions, and once the defense makes submissions, the prosecutor will reply, prosecutions or the state councils, whoever they are, will reply to the submissions. And then the judge, in this case, Justice Gino Prasad, will rule whether indeed there's a case for the Nabriga to answer. And if there's a case for the Nabriga to answer, then the judge will tell him of his rights to refuse to make any statement, to make a statement, or to give evidence on oath. And he will tell him, you can make a statement, in which case if you do that, nobody can ask you any question, or you can go in the witness box, make a sworn statement, and in which case the prosecutor can ask you a question, the judge may also ask you a question. So that is where it's at. Tomorrow submissions are going to be made, and once the submissions are made, then the prosecutions will get an opportunity to reply either the same day or some other day, depending if they want time to do so. And when all that is done, then the judge will rule if there's a case for the accused to answer. If the judge say that there is no case based on the evidence presented, the judge may then direct the jury to return a verdict of not guilty. If the judge rules that the prima facie case has been made out, he will call on the accused to lead his defense. He can make a statement, as I've said. He can also call his witnesses to make their give their evidence. That is what it's at. So I'm following that case. Well, let me tell you all about Enid and Shimakume, because is for the Thursday, you know. It's upon a Thursday. Here we go. Here we go.
It was a big bacchanal just the other day with Enid and Shimakume. Big comments the other day with Enid and Shimakume. I ain't want to hear, so I pass him straight. A fella pull me and tell me wait. Same time Enid husband get off the bus. Well, it's now the Makume start to cuss. She say, look Enid, remember it's you who say how you hire your husband so total bay. Your sweet man does come home in the house too. He could only watch and he can't say, yeah Enid, woman, why you lying on me? Girl, I'm not in your category. And if even said what you said is true, you have a man with your husband too. It hurt me, but I felt so shame when I hear she called him my name. He's so shocked, he don't know what to do, so he stand up there listening to. A policeman was right on the beat, run to make an arrest, but the comment sweet. Enid is a big socialist in South. She want to cuss, but she hardly open she mouth. Girl, you should shame to curse me for true. It's me, Enid, who you talking to. When you were sick in the hospital, I lend you me dress, me nighty and all. What you know about shame, the Makume say. You didn't shame last week Saturday when your husband come home earlier. Instead, you had to hide the man underneath the bed. When the man hear that, he face come pale as mud. If you choke him, you can't get blood. Watching the wife and shaking the head, I say, Lord, well tonight she dead. And next comments, woman listening shout, hey, hey, mouth open man Tory jump out. This time the Makume put she hand on she waist, and if you see how she getting on in the place, she say, look Enid, it's better you leave and go. Don't let me talk everything I know, because you and Doris couldn't agree. You tie the child in the girl belly. I don't care what you say to do, I am still Mistress Enid they do. Bailiff take back my TV set, and I never thief peas in the market yet. Now the husband shame, he couldn't take no more. He tell the wife, girl, come let we go. He hold she hand and he pulling she, but she tugging away from me. The Makume say, yes, you manny cool. You better take she away for true. She hire so dotish and borrow kid. What she give to rob, is that you take and eat? He say, listen young woman, stop making strife. You want to put me against my wife? In front me face you're lying on she. My wife ain't have nobody with me. I know that man you are speaking about. That is her cousin who first from South. When he come home with a sleeping tree, sometime I myself does take he for me.
The best part of this song for me is the woman, well, in it tell she, and even self, if you say it's true, you have the men with your husband too. even self, if you say it's true, you have your end with your husband too. Busing, fancy busing. Listen out for fancy busing. Folks, we have come to the end of a good day again. I just say apologies to my colleague, CC not being here today. I hope he's able to be with us on Friday. I know you missed him, and I hope I was able to do you justice. I hope I did not disappoint you, but in alone. When this program started some years ago, I used to bat alone, I used to bat alone, but it wasn't this long. I used to bat for just about an hour or so. But I have developed the ability to, once I get the subject, and I do my research and I know what I'm talking about. So I hope that I've given the police a lot of nuggets to make sure that this investigation into this terrorist act is done properly. Because again, I say, we want to, an arrest is good, but we want to make sure that this person is convicted, right? The address is good. And again, congratulations to the police for being able within such a Sunday this thing happened, man arrested Tuesday, right? Good work. Good work. But it doesn't end there. You have to now make sure that you get the evidence. And I've said this is a case that has to be built on forensic evidence to make sure that this terrorist is brought to justice. And for investigation has to go further to understand if there are links, understand what is the motive, and all of that. As I've said, it is not an isolated incident because we had 2 previous incidents. I mean, this is the most serious because this has resulted in significant damage to property and the loss of a life, an innocent life. So we have got to tell you folks, do the job. And I know, they have people who are competent and capable, but sometimes they're not allowed to do what they know has to be done. They're not allowed. People intervene. Again, I want to close by calling on them to revisit this manslaughter charge against Robert Hussein, name or whatever he name, who shot the police. You saw the video there. That is claim murder. And again, I don't know what happens to people like the Police Association, Police Officers Association, and all these civic bodies. They are the ones who should come out and speak out. Here it is, a policeman killed. You hear a from the Police Association. Not a word from them. Not a word. Either the police, the association, or the Officers Association, Ex-Police Association. Nothing. And that is why I'm disappointed in these people. Disappointed. All of them should come out with statements condemning the act and condemning the fact that this man is charged, this murderer is charged with manslaughter. But they're quiet. Wonder why. Wonder why they're so quiet. Folks, I'm going to leave you now. The attendance today was great. I put up there the Zelle and the Cash App number for those people who are inclined to make a contribution to keep this program going. The MMG number is also there for those in Guyana who want to make a contribution. Please, and I again thank all those who have over the weeks and months have made contributions to this program. We appreciate your contribution very much. So until we meet again, and this is likely as it is now, that is set for Friday at 4 o'clock. Until then, I invite you to stay well, be safe. Stay well and be safe. Bye.